Trump in a big way. The uncovering of fraud is about to go to the next level. Election rigging by Dems is waking up a host of Democrats, and the comms sent through the boards are blaring out what we need to hear at this time. Let's get straight into it. 512,000 followers on Rumble. That's our go-to for free speech. We upload on other platforms also, BitChute, and we have a YouTube also available. You see that we're number 3 on the leaderboard thanks to you hitting the like button and commenting below the videos. And we sincerely appreciate all your support there. It's been just phenomenal. We can't thank you enough. And we want to make sure that we let you know that we've got some gear for you, especially for Father's Day at amweknow.com. Take 20% off your order. Use code DAD for T-shirts and all types of AmWeKnow gear. And you've got your bedazzled crew neck and tee back in many colors. Just want to remind you of all of that. So if you're looking at your screen, you'll notice there that as President Trump was going through New York City, it says that every police officer in the Bronx stood on the street to salute President Trump as his motorcade passed by. Now, that's a big word saying every police officer. I have to go try to confirm that, but you'll notice there are a lot of police, and they're ready and waiting for President Trump. He received quite a bit of extensive support and protection heading into this very, very dangerous zone belonging to Mamdani. And you guys know how that's been playing out. And so when he got to the stadium, for those that might have missed it,
whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights.
And so there you go. You heard the response for those listening in when he was shown on the screen there for the game of the NBA. He went up to salute, and of course you heard the folks screaming, and at the same time you heard some boos. And kind of interesting when you look at all of this, if you guys saw during one of the portions where they show him the people were screaming USA, USA, President Trump standing there. Of course, Thomas Hearn reminded us that the Cleveland 19 News ran a story with the headline, Donald Trump booed by the crowd. And as you heard there was USA, USA, and it wasn't all boos, in case you guys were wondering. Il Donato Trumpo, the burner account for President Trump, said we're back where we started and showed the picture of him with JFK Jr., obviously at a game together because they were good friends. LASQ, Leanne Eskew put this out, that there is a time between these posts where Il Donato Trumpo posted March 26, 2026. Now we're here, the picture of President Trump with JFK Jr. And then 776 hours or 10 weeks and 4 days later, he posted the same picture saying we're back where we started. And that 104, 10 weeks and 4 days later, 104, now is the time to pray. We're operational. God bless the United States of America on the Q board. Now, if you guys know, this whole Q start of the operation, many of you know this, drop 1083 on QAGG.news. The Q board had this POTUS and JFK Jr. relationship. They were friends. Plane crash 1999. Remember the crash that I showed you guys in past videos? I showed you proof that there was a lot of shenanigans, and JFK Jr. was actually with his wife in the picture of them taking the wreckage as they released to the public. And there was a lot more proof out there that pretty much they're not gone. HRC Senate 2000, of course, the race happened there. And then you've got the start, enjoy the show, Q, old to new as the world turns. Now, one Kennedy quote that they never mention, George Magazine, that was put out by JFK Jr., June of 1999, quote, if my dear friend Donald Trump ever decided to sacrifice his fabulous billionaire lifestyle to become president, he would be an unstoppable force for ultimate justice that Democrats and Republicans alike would celebrate. John F. Kennedy Jr. Now, Breaking, in case you guys didn't know, they just released a bombshell report exposing how Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison fueled Minnesota's fraud explosion. $9 billion in Medicaid loss, $300 million in federal child nutrition funds were placed at serious risk. And if you guys are looking at your screen, you notice that we have that meme, lock them up. Ilhan Omar, no one is above the law. Keith Ellison and Tim Walz holding those signs. No one is above the law.
I guess now I can make a bit of breaking news because I left the White House to come here to do this interview with you. And before I did, we actually referred this particular case to the Department of Justice for full criminal investigation. We are not going to do what the Biden administration did and make judgments of the law before all the facts are in. But here's what's particularly troubling about this to me is Jesse, you had people within Governor Walz's office who were saying, you know what, this looks like fraud. It looks like these Somalian illegal immigrants are doing something that's very shady. And then you had people who shut them down, who shut these whistleblowers down and said, you know, you're a racist or you're a xenophobe for asking questions about where taxpayer money is going. What that means to me, Jesse, is that clearly people weren't taking fraud seriously. Whether it rises to the level of a criminal violation, we're going to investigate it. And of course, if it does rise to that level, we're going to prosecute it. We have to.
How about that? So this Minnesota exposure, Observing Consciousness grabbed and put together a chart for us. If you're looking at your screen, you can see that chart. You can take a screenshot or a picture with your phone if you're watching on your screen, or go to Observing Consciousness, which is at HOLON above, and on X. And he says this: Minnesota exposed the fraud industrial complex in operational form. Check this out. The new House Oversight Report alleges senior Minnesota officials knew about massive COVID-era fraud as early as 2020, possessed the authority to stop payments, and allowed the money pipeline to continue flowing anyway. Boom. That matters because Minnesota was never isolated. It was the template. Federal money flooded outward through NGOs, shell entities, subcontractors, social programs, identity shields, and protected political narratives, while whistleblowers were attacked and oversight mechanisms stalled in place. COVID accelerated the entire architecture globally like a virus. Sorry, bad pun. Emergency funding, normalized rapid disbursement systems, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, became financial transfer hubs. Administrative fear became operational cover, and narrative became institutional armor. That created industrial-scale extraction systems capable of moving billions through fragmented oversight structures while accountability dissolved across layers of bureaucracy. Now the system is turning inward on itself. Treasury, DOJ, the HHS, oversight committees, AI-driven forensic mapping, cross-program fraud analysis, and federal task forces. The same digital infrastructure that enabled the extraction now preserves the evidence trail permanently. Every payment, timestamp, linked entity, transfer node, and reimbursement cluster. Minnesota became visible first. Now the pattern is surfacing everywhere. Watch it spread, folks. Simply watch it spread. Now, I'm going to get into a testimony given by Catherine Herridge, testifying that CBS News locked her out of the building and seized all her files. And they're going to kind of show you how the media spins things, especially when it came to President Trump and that interview that he had. You guys remember we showed him storming off, basically, not storming off, but he was done and he got up and walked out with that interview, and how Biden used to treat the female reporters because they're using their tactics again, the Democrats and the lamestream media. We'll get that in a moment. Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At LTPetClub247.com are all natural, USA-made supplements and treats packed with immune-boosting Coriolis versicolor mushrooms. Shed antler power, transform your pet's health. And guess what? They're so pure, they're great for humans too.
Have been suffering from ulcerative colitis my whole life. I started dosing it very, very hard, like 4 60-milligram tablets 4 times a day. To make a long story short, within about 3 weeks, I stopped bleeding.
From biscuits supporting bones, joints, and organs to mushroom blends for wellness, we've got pets and people covered. Plus, we donate profits to animal rescues like the Beagle Freedom Project. Shop affordable, natural solutions. Head to ltpetclub247.com now for vitality for you and your pet. LT Pet Club 247, health for all, 24/7. Get yours in the description box below today.
As you know, in February, I was held in contempt of court for refusing to disclose my confidential sources on a national security story. I think my current situation can help put the importance of the Press Act into context. One of our children recently asked me if I would go to jail, if we would lose our house, and if we would lose our family savings to protect my reporting sources. I wanted to answer that in this United States, where we say we value democracy and the role of a vibrant and free press, that it was impossible, but I could not offer that assurance. The Bipartisan Press Act, which came out of this House committee, would put an end to the sort of legal jeopardy that I have experienced firsthand in the federal courts. And without the legislation, more journalists will run the uncertainty of the contempt gauntlet in the future. This legislation will provide protections for every working journalist in the United States, now and for the next generation. The legislation provides strong protections at the federal level for reporters and their sources. It would block litigants and federal government from prying into a reporter's files, except when there's an imminent threat of violence, including terrorism and in defamation cases. At the state level, similar rules are already in place to protect press freedom. It is my sincere hope that the passage of the Press Act will provide similar protections at the federal level. I hope that I am the last journalist who has to spend 2 years in the federal courts fighting to protect my confidential sources. My current situation arises from a Privacy Act lawsuit. I am only a witness in the case. It is not common for these cases to reach the stage of holding a reporter in contempt, but when such cases happen, they have profound consequences, impacting every journalist in the United States. Forcing a reporter to disclose confidential sources would have a crippling effect on investigative journalism, because without reliable assurances of confidentiality, sources will not come forward. The First Amendment provides protections for the press because an informed electorate is at the foundation of our democracy. If confidential sources are not protected, I fear investigative journalism is dead. Each day, I feel the weight of that responsibility. As you know, I was held in contempt of court for upholding the basic journalistic principle of maintaining the pledge of confidentiality to my sources. I have complete respect for the federal court and the judicial process, and I'm not here to litigate the case. It will play out before the appellate court in Washington, D.C. But the fact that I have been fighting in the courts for 2 years and that I am now facing potentially crippling fines of $800 a day to protect my reporting sources underscores the vital importance of the Press Act. When you go through major life events, as I have in recent weeks, losing your job, losing your company health insurance, having your reporting files seized by your former employer, and being held in contempt of court gives you clarity. The First Amendment, the protection of confidential sources, and a free press are my guiding principles. They are my North Star. When I was laid off in February, an incident reinforced in my mind the importance of protecting confidential sources. CBS News locked me out of the building and seized hundreds of pages of my reporting files, including confidential source information. Multiple sources said they were concerned that by working with me to expose government corruption and misconduct, they would be identified and exposed. I pushed back, and with the public support of my union, SAG-AFTRA, the records were returned. CBS News' decision to receive my reporting records crossed a red line that I believe should never be crossed again by any media organization in the future. The litigation and being held in contempt have taken a toll on me and my career. This is not a battle you can fight alone. I am grateful for the support of fellow journalists and multiple First Amendment organizations, including the Reporters Committee for Press Freedom, the Freedom of the Press Foundation, the Coalition for Women in Journalism, the Knight First Amendment Institute, the Society of Professional Journalists, as well as the Columbia Journalism School, of which I am a graduate. I have also been fortunate to have the support from my former employer as I continue to fight this case.
Remember Catherine Herridge, I can't believe I said that. Herridge was out there at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and she was reporting that there's going to be some interesting things going on with the media allowed in, and it's great that she was brought into that area. And we watched her meticulously give us information when we used her as the pin, follow the pin. And it seemed like we were following her pin. Now, when it comes to journalism and how it works, we guys know if you go over to Communist News Network, they're always looking for ways to go after President Trump no matter what, no matter all the great things that he's done and more, no matter how bad he's been mistreated by them. They're looking for their angle, and this is what the CIA-controlled evil demonic media did.
The second issue, which to me is just as
Ana Navarro.
horrible and needs to be discussed, is his consistent berating and insulting and ad hominem attacks, particularly against women. Whether it's
Give
Kristen,
me a break.
What do you mean give me a break? Kristen Walker this week.
It's Kristen.
Caitlin Walker,
I'm
Caitlin
sorry.
Collins last
I've
week.
worked with
The woman
Kristen
he
when I
called
worked at
Piggy.
the White House.
Will you give
For
me a
you
break?
to say
Have
that
you
you're
no
going up
shame
against
as a
my
woman
No.
that we hear
Kristen
him
was
call them
tougher
ugly
on-
and piggy and
Kristen
crooked
was
and
tougher
liars
on him
and
in
stupid
that
and bad
interview
journalists?
than I have seen
you
most-
absolutely
that's
no
probably the
solidarity with
toughest
women?
interview I've
oh
seen
my
in
God.
So anyway, Ana Navarro, of course, getting unhinged again because she can't handle the treatment of President Trump and how he handles women. He's so terrible. But never do they want to show you how old Biden treated people. May said, I made this video back in 2022, so it doesn't include the Biden outburst at media during the second half of his presidency. There were many. Biden would regularly bully female journalists, but you would never hear one word about it from, especially Ana Navarro.
Go back and read what I said and tell me. That is true at the time, because I thought there were people who were going to understand. Yeah, I'm not confident change behavior. What the hell? What do you do all the time? So when did I say I was confident? I said I went on the floor and got you votes. I got votes for that bill. I convinced people to vote for it. So let's get those things straight, too. Saying things you do not know what you're talking about. No one said that. Who said that? Who said that? Answer the question. Who went up and got it fixed? So you're not. And even the people in his administration have testified to my character, testified to my honesty. Oh, acting like we just discovered this yesterday.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
It's gone. Come on, give me a break, man.
Come on, you guys.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Why attack Sanders?
Why? Oh, you're getting nervous, man. Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president has ever done.
So there you go, the unhinged Brandon for all to see. But not once did the Ana Navarro talk about that, no. So when President Trump is treated by dirt by their reporters, he's supposed to just sit there and take it. He's supposed to just go, yeah, you're right. I don't have any evidence. Yeah, I don't have all the information that you want. You're right. You're the journalist. You know more than me. I'm the one that goes to all the classified briefings, and I've got all the details and everything, and I'm trying to tell you what's going on, but you're not listening to me because you think you're the expert, and she just talks over him over and over and over him. And he's like, I had enough. And he stands up, calls her darling, and walks away. And they have a hissy fit. This guy, Brandon, screams and yells, loses his mind, the guy who was playing him. No matter how much this actor did, how many times he mistreated the media to their face, they just took it. They took it and said, he's one of us. I guess we'll just handle it on our way. You know, heading over to California with all the corruption that's going on there with the elections, as we talked about, and most people know about ad nauseum. Kyle Becker wanted to review it and put this out, and I thought it was pretty good. They made it illegal to show voter IDs. They had mass mail-in ballots across the state. They allow people to print ballots at home. They allow them to register anywhere in the state. They allow ballot harvesting. Allow people to register with IDs like gym memberships and insurance cards. Allowing people to hand date ballot envelopes, no postmark required. 850,000 plus ghost voters. Sanctuary state that harbors illegal aliens. Refused to turn over dirty voter rolls for verification and refusing to allow independent signature verification audit. Refusing to allow ballot inspection audit. This isn't exactly subtle. It's a blueprint for stealing elections. Now, I put in the description box below the video, full video put out by Citizen Journalism Foundation as they uncovered this with all of the ballot harvesting playing out there.
Fraudulent petitioners on Skid Row are now paying the homeless to forge names, forge addresses, and forge signatures of registered voters.
So do you want to sign? Okay. The first one.
I'm Joseph Albright. Okay.
The first name?
Joseph Albright.
Going to homeless men, giving them the names to use. Different names.
What are you using? Teresa.
No, I'm going to give you an address to write.
Oh, okay.
Follow directions?
Okay, yeah.
Robert.
Quickly becoming a widespread scheme that can be found on almost every street corner in downtown Los Angeles.
There's your 43,000 ballots from the homeless and more. It's amazing, right? All those ballots that just so mysteriously happen to go to mostly the third place person who was crying and acting like, you know, Ramen saying, I'm so sorry, and basically I've lost. And then what happens? They give her all of those ballots and say, here you go. We're going to bring you through to the finish line. The world has gone nuts. Put this, repost this, please. California did not tell me they rejected my ballot. They also rejected my wife's ballot, I have discovered. They claim it is a bad signature on both. Go to california.ballottracks.net and verify they accepted your ballot. Saw a lot of that playing out. A lot of it. And so with all of this craziness playing out with the elections and more, you had this. The lever of fraud is mind-blowing, says Elon Musk. Nitya Raman even lost her own district, CD4, to Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass. But you expect us to believe she beat them both by winning 40% of the vote in the rest of the city by mail-in ballots? Yeah. The Post's core claim is accurate. In the 2026 LA mayoral primary, Nitya Raman placed behind Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt in her home District 4 per precinct level results. Yet late mail-in ballot counts from other city districts enabled her to narrowly overtake Pratt for second place overall. So she's sitting at 27.1% and Pratt's at 26.7%. Huh. The mail-in dynamics drove the shift. Remember this.
I don't anticipate this need to be the case, but there is a break the glass scenario. And there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out. And we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll leave it at that.
The break the glass scenario so that they can win. Brian Cates replied to Mike Davis, who said states don't have the right to rig and steal elections from voters. That violates federal law. Brian Cates said there are federal House representative races on every LA County ballot. There are federal representative races on every one of California's primary ballots. They open this door. They will definitely not like what walks through it. They won't like it at all.
So does the tip of the iceberg.
Speaking of fraud, the president keeps saying that there's election fraud in the California mayor's race. What evidence is there to prove that?
You tell me, Manu. They are counting votes weeks after the election. We have entire nations with huge populations, like India, that can count their votes in 24 to 40
You're saying it's rigged like the president?
I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm saying it stinks to high heaven, and everybody knows that. Let's remove the appearance of impropriety. Let's have what a concept. Let's have votes on an election the day of the election. That's what many states are able to do. I think California is playing around with this.
But what evidence is there to prove that there was rigged?
Look, some of these efforts are so diabolical and so far upstream that it's impossible to prove. But I think everybody knows instinctively something is wrong here. And that's a concern. We need people to believe in the integrity of our election system. It is critical to maintain a constitutional republic. We're going to keep working to pass the Save America Act because it requires, as you know, proof of citizenship and a photo ID to vote. Those are also 90% plus issues in public opinion, and 70% of Democrats understand that's necessary.
Aren't you all just saying that because you've lost the election because the Republicans did not win in this race? This is why you're hearing that?
I'm saying that every leader of all parties should demand election integrity. And if somebody is opposing that, you should look at their motives. That's what I'm saying.
We'll see you later.
You sneaky little reporters, huh? Always going in, oh, don't you think you're just saying this because you're Republicans and you lost? The sick, nasty, evil journalists like this guy. Paid a lot of money, probably, under the table to ensure that he sows seeds of doubt for his masters who worship Satan. And that's how they operate. That's how they play their games. Remember this when President Trump put out on June 7th. Has anybody been watching the crooked election going on in California? 2 great Republican candidates are being cheated. So is America. What if the Democrats are able to fulfill their mission? Great trouble and consternation will follow. Watch this election closely, President DJT. Interesting because he posted at 11:02. 11:02 had a timestamp similar to the December 18th, 2019 post, where we're reminded attempts to slow and block the inevitable justice will fail. Democrats' election interference 2016, Clinton Hussein, illegal FISA. Democrats' election interference 2018, we had Mueller. Democrats' election interference 2020, we had impeachment and projection. These people are sick. We, the people, are the cure. Remember this.
15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, you know, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is, I think the federal government, when you see crooked elections, and we had plenty of them, and by the way, we had them last time, but go to 2020 and look at the facts that are coming out. Rigged, crooked elections. If we have areas, take a look at Detroit, take a look at Pennsylvania, take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta. Look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections. And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
The Constitution says...
That's right. You know, Mila Joy said, my sister lives in Los Angeles. She's a Democrat, but voted for Spencer Pratt. I was with her when she dropped her ballot in the mail weeks ago. We checked today, and it hasn't been received back. Are they just tossing ballots for Spencer Pratt? Oh, man. Spencer Pratt. This is one of the reasons they didn't want him in.
If elected, he'll enlist the IRS to audit the city government.
Also, as mayor, I have a good relationship with the IRS criminal investigation team. First week, I'm bringing them in. Here's all the books. Open this up. Let's see all the corruption.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Mentioning that, and they were realizing, man, if this guy gets in office, everything we've ever done will be revealed. We can't let him in. We're going to do everything we can to cheat, steal this thing, and make sure that he'll never get in there to reveal the evil that we've put out across the state. Oh boy. We got some more to get into about the corruption and those that are being roped in, these folks that invaded our country, right? They infiltrated instead of invaded. And how this is playing out in other areas where these guys are getting their degrees and they're heading into our country, and so much more. You don't want to miss it. Have you been dealing with nagging pain, restless nights, constant stress, or just feeling drained? What if the solution was something as simple as wearing... So I want to show you this Homeland Security put out while Americans enjoyed their weekends. ICE Gov law enforcement were arresting murderers, pedophiles, child abusers, and drug traffickers. Under President of the United States Trump, Secretary Mullen, we will always put the safety of Americans first. So yeah, they actually reposted libs of TikTok showing this. DHS just shared with me the worst of the worst. Criminal illegal aliens arrested over the weekend, including pedos, murders, and child. You can see those on your screen. FBI also said today's story behind the numbers, this FBI and the takedown of a prolific predator who used sextortion to terrorize children and families across the country. Ramanan Pathmanathan of Toronto, Canada, spent years hunting down children to exploit. He ultimately contacted at least 145 young girls and boys over social media. Posing as a teen from New Jersey, this guy coerced these minors into exposing themselves and engaging in these acts with their siblings, other relatives, and even dogs. He then recorded these activities. This guy threatened to send revealing images to their family and friends if the children refused his demands. Some victims were as young as 6 years old. Pathmanathan was recently given a 33-year prison term in the United States following a massive investigation by FBI Houston Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force and the Texas Department of Public Safety. This FBI continues our historic nationwide crackdown on violent crimes against children and child abusers, arresting nearly 3,000 child predators and human traffickers since last year, up 70%. And we found nearly 7,000 child victims, up 144%. Let's listen to Mark Waymo.
Absolutely. You're not going to tell us where we can and cannot enforce our nation's laws, because we are not, Sean, picking and choosing which laws we enforce. We enforce the laws that Congress passed. And for the Mayor Mandami, who's...
Sorry about that. Let me get back to this.
The Mayor Mandami, who's absolutely destroying a great city like New York, to say that ICE needs to be abolished. I mean, come on, they're immigration custom enforcement. That's their job. And so he wants to have open borders and wants to allow criminals to run their streets. Well, his constituents don't want that. They want law and order on their streets, just like we want it in Oklahoma. And you know what's interesting fact about this, Sean, is 70% of the arrests that ICE agents make every single day are not just your individuals that came across the border looking for a job. 70% either have pending criminal charges on them, or they already are convicted felons. We're taking the worst of the worst off the streets with the best of the best, and that's ICE, and that's exactly who Adami wants to abolish. Well, this is exactly why we need to fund ICE and CBP for 3 years and take it off the plate, because these radical left Democrats want to have open borders and lawlessness running through our streets.
Not only do they have the open borders and the lawlessness that cause so many problems now in our nation, we've been seeing a series of messages with this H-1B deal where they bring folks in and let them work and what have you. So I'm going to share with you some more information on a couple of levels, especially in our medical side. You know, we're all affected in some way or another. We know somebody who's been affected by their job, or medical side. We might know somebody in this area. But 40,000 university professors are here on H-1B visas. That's over 40,000 American academics who are out of a job. You guys get that? 40,000 American academics don't have a job because university professors have been coming from other countries. Roughly 72 to 73% of those are from India. A Fox News investigation revealed that 90% of H-1B visas from India have been obtained using fraudulent degrees and credentials. Department of Education is an obligation to the U.S. taxpayer to investigate every single professor who obtained a degree from any university in India to ensure the degree is valid. Professor Shayoni Mitra, Barnard, Columbia, is from India. She teaches theater. After the October 7 massacres by Hamas, she donned a mask and a security vest, then watched the students violently hijack Hamilton Hall and held workers hostage. Students draped in keffiyehs destroyed the building in support of Palestine. The graffiti they left behind on the walls revealed death to American support for Hamas. Police were called and arrests were made. After the event, Professor Mitra had a pretend graduation ceremony for the students who were arrested, expelled for rioting. This campus is about to receive over $1 billion in federal funding. That's a large ship we have in America that needs to be turned completely around. Don't you agree? And President Trump's doing it super fast, doing all he can with his staff and more, and just trying to get to all of this, folks. It's just mind-boggling. I'll show you another one that's been going out throughout the social media area. There is a horrifying medical malpractice by an Indian doctor named Ashok Muralidharan at OHSU. A 13-year-old Oregon girl's heart valve was implanted upside down during surgery by Dr. Ashok. Her heart wouldn't restart. For 18 days, she was on life support while doctors told her devastated parents she was dying. He discussed end-of-life care and even organ donation. Seattle Children's fixed the catastrophic error in one procedure. Her heart started working immediately. She's now making a miraculous recovery. Praying for a healing of the brave girl. Now let's show you this guy responsible for it. This is my unveiled truth to put this out. This is the Indian doctor who implanted a heart valve upside down in a child, and his education was completed in India. In India, a person only needs to earn 40% to pass, which is basically an F in the United States. Medical degree, MBBS, 1999, Madras Medical College, Chennai, India. Internship, general surgery, Government General Hospital, Chennai, India, 2001. And they're letting these guys in, and they're taking care of our people, and they're failing miserably. And parents almost lost their 13-year-old child because of this guy and his negligence. Other things on that front. Imagine trying to get a job in America. Listen to this.
I've applied for over 300 jobs. Not a single callback. Nothing. So what I decided to do on Monday is, this is now Tuesday, what I decided to do yesterday was make a fake resume and change my last name to Singh, different email address, different job qualifications, but all in the same line, same everything. And I've gotten 3 emails in 24 hours. Figure that out.
Figure that out. Got that loud background noise and more, but change your name. Find out if you're going to get any calls. GBN covered some of this. Here we go.
Indians have become CEOs at major American companies, including Microsoft, Google, Adobe, IBM, YouTube, FedEx, and T-Mobile. How are they reshaping US tech firms?
There's an observable correlation between the rise of Indian-born CEOs taking the helms at major U.S. companies and increased offshoring and outsourcing activity to India. In the case of Google, Sundar Pichai became CEO in 2015. And that year, they filed a total of 2,896 H-1B visa applications. However, fast forward 6 years to 2021, they had filed 9,315 H-1B visa applications.
You noticed more Indians working at FedEx internally, so they were outsourcing work to India, is that right?
Offshoring jobs.
And eventually, that's what happened to you.
Correct.
And what happened to your jobs and your team when you were all fired?
They all went to India.
How did it feel to be asked to train your replacement from India?
It was crushing. You go broke.
So no American company has ever been sanctioned for replacing American workers with foreign workers when they didn't have to do so.
Right. That has absolutely never occurred.
I had to sell my wonderful, perfect gem of a home in Sunnyvale that was custom made for me.
How long have you been looking for a job?
2 years. I had experience. I should have walked right into these corporate jobs, but I didn't. Why? Because Silicon Valley is flooded with people who will work for 2/3 of the price or even half price.
I think the Indian community has really helped in the growth of America, just because we come with a lot of academics, right? All Indians are are highly educated, and I think we've always contributed very highly to the Indian, to the American economy.
It felt dehumanizing and it felt humiliating in a way to think that Google cared so little about your investment as a worker on their product that they would just throw it, to any group that they thought might be able to do it.
I'm an American, I'm a US citizen, but I don't feel threatened about my job because I know that I come to work on daily basis. I perform my job. I don't think I have replaced any US worker here. I've come here, I've worked, I've gone through the whole system, and I've kind of adapted myself to the environment, and I'm still working, right?
And then to even force you to train your replacement people was sometimes kind of felt mean.
Interesting how this has all been playing out. We've seen it happen to many over the years. And it seems like, I don't know, my mind just goes back to when I talk about the school systems and the way they were set up and more like prisons, and the kids grow up and they barely learn anything anymore because they're herded in. And then they don't feed them proper food, right? They give them junk food all day long. Then they took away physical education. A lot of these schools, some of you wrote to me and said they haven't stopped here, but I've been in schools where they took away shop and they took away the home economics classes and physical education, and just a lot of stuff disappeared in the school system. I had an opportunity, folks, to go for a few years to a Christian school thanks to a great church that supported us when we had nothing. And it's a long story, but bottom line is, I had a classical education there for 2 to 3 years, and very impressionable on me, changed my life. And we diagrammed sentences. I learned algebra at a very young age. I did book reports every week in front of the class. And we did spelling bees, we did Bible drills, and so much more. And I think it just really helped develop the foundation that I have in what we have, considered journalism or whatever, when I went in the Marine Corps and took my ASVAB test and more. And I just felt like if every single child in our education system was brought up correctly, we'd have so much violence and so much infiltration into our country of these people. Maybe we'd change the direction of the giant ship of America, right? That's not going to happen if you continue to encourage them to live in homeless shelters and just hand them whatever they want. Look what Seattle's doing with $16,000 tiny homes to hide the homeless for the World Cup.
Recovery is really complicated and difficult, and so we're not demanding that people be, abstinent when they enter this village.
We don't want you to be abstinent. You're going to enter these villages, get $16,000 homes, and we want you to keep doing your drugs.
There are thousands of people sleeping unsheltered on our streets. Yes, we are failing. We are failing. Collectively, we are failing.
The mayor says the shelter will also offer health services, including drug treatment, which will be encouraged but not mandated.
Yep. Homeless, just head on in there. Get your, it's not mandated, but you guys can just get in those homes, do whatever you want. We're going to hide you out while the World Cup soccer games are going on. I want to head over to just remind you, when it comes to the monetary system and all that's playing out around us. We had our video released on Saturday of Dr. Kirk Elliott. You guys have given us great feedback. Gold becomes largest central bank reserve on the earth an international monetary system built on collateral. This great interview Dr. Kirk Elliott did for us this past week was phenomenal. I just can't get enough of some of the clips. Let me show you this.
Allocating into gold, it's now their number one asset because they need collateral to be bankers. So
talking about central banks around the world,
they can continue lending.
They're starting to buy up gold.
They don't want a sinking asset. They don't want sovereign debt anymore. They don't want currencies from really other countries or the United States right now, it looks like. They want gold.
Yep. You guys could join this. Just go to amweknow.com/gold. I remind you, you can have these conversations that I have with him or somebody in his team, and they will take care of you and bring your IRA over, and they'll pray with you also. It's just phenomenal. Just takes you a few minutes. Click on that and watch your life change like so many others that I've talked to, including myself. Now, speaking of change, don't know if you guys noticed, but Target, remember in 2023, during the Pride Month, right? They put all these rainbow stuff all over the place, and they had all kinds of really wicked type of clothes, right, for males to do you-know-what with, to hide things, Well, you go to 2026 now in June, and you're noticing on your screen, you've got all these American colors and American flag type, decorations and more in several of the Targets. So what are you guys seeing out there? You guys seeing a change or noticing a difference? Do you even shop there anymore? I'd be interested in hearing back from you on all of this. Now, I wanted to show you something also that's been going on. We've noticed a lot lately, a lot of violence playing out throughout many countries. Liz Churchill posted this. An illegal invader is actually trying to, let's see how would I put this without, if there's children in your room listening, trying to, let's just say, like you saw the cartoon, what was it, Alice in Wonderland, when the lady screams off with your head? Okay, that's the only way I could put it. In the middle of the street in Ireland, an illegal invader. Why can't these guys be sent back to the third world places that they belong? That guy said this, and I'll read that in a minute, but I want to show you another one here just in our country in America, okay? Real quick. Lazy B showing this. An African has stabbed 6 people in the attack inside of New York's Penn State station on June 7th. The suspect was taken into custody shortly after. What's going on? There have been so many horrific incidents across the West. An African was trying to cut off a white man's, off with the head in the middle of the street in Ireland. Multiple violent murders and attacks in Australia, too, and all across the West. Why are we tolerating this? We deserve to live in peace and to feel safe. Enough is enough. Why are we going through this, folks? Why are we giving the small percentage liberal think tanks out there all the power? Why are they continuing to stay in power? Why can't we just fight back? We're the biggest percentage and say, you're done. That guy said all other countries condemning the United States and talking about our jobs and our guns and Second Amendment rights. The right to keep and bear arms looks mighty fine about right now. Don't you think so? They all thought giving up their guns was the right thing to do because their government told them so. I carry my firearm everywhere I go, across state lines, to the shore, to the gas station, doesn't matter where. I don't care about all of that other than I've got protection. The Constitution is the law of the land, and it trumps any state laws. Now, Irish Patriot said this, and they follow us. Thank you, Irish Patriot. The groups in my area around here in Ireland, this isn't going to go well with this guy who tried to off with the head, right? I just don't think we are going to take this anymore. Men are at a breaking point now. This could have been a woman or a child, but it was a man. And Liz Churchill said, I'm still in shock. Irish Patriot said, it's all over my Facebook. I'm not far from this area, but I've seen the change last few weeks in people here. It could have been anyone. Who's next? That's, the worry. I can't believe it, but we don't get this stuff here. Not this crazy, no. I couldn't tell, said Beyond Old Fashioned. Was the unheading successful? Is the guy okay? Irish Patriot said he's in the hospital, serious injuries, but alive right now. Some other things out there. Tim Burchett reminded us of what White Girl 1776 posted. He said he seemed to have missed this one in legacy media. This is Tyson Goodsell. He was a white 17-year-old football player who was executed in cold blood by a gang of Somalis in Mankato, Minnesota on May 23rd, 2026. Ambushed and shot in the head. Okay. Another one. The Netherlands also has its Henry Nowak cases. Remember Henry Nowak? Got stabbed, and then the guy called the police and said, hey, this guy's a racist. And they arrested him after he blood pouring everywhere. And they're like, yeah, right, but you're the one that called him a racist, so we're going to arrest you. And they didn't arrest the guy who actually stabbed him. You remember that guy. Well, House of Poem said in July 2020, 14-year-old Tamar from Marken was hit by a car, talking about Netherlands, on a dark side of the road and left to die. Her body was later found in the berm. What happened next is deeply disturbing. The police initially told her mother that the driver was German. Days later, the truth came out. It was 4 Iraqis in the car, people from Iraq. The mother was told they withheld the real background because they didn't want to create a Wilders effect. They didn't want to give Great Wilders political ammunition. Even worse, evidence strongly suggests Tamar's body was moved after the accident. The driver didn't just flee, they dragged her off the road and left her like an animal. The driver received only a $1,500 fine for looking at his phone while driving. He then disappeared completely. The fine was returned undeliverable, and for years he was untraceable. Only after years of fighting by the family, including going to court to force prosecution, a breakthrough came in March 2026. The now 33-year-old Jamal is finally being prosecuted for causing the fatal accident and leaving the scene. Just like Henry Nowak in Southampton, an innocent young person dies. Authorities seem more focused on protecting a narrative and avoiding political incorrectness than on delivering swift justice. 14-year-old girl on your screen dies on a Dutch side of the road. The system lies about the identity of the driver, gives him a slap on the wrist, loses him for years, and only after massive pressure does real prosecution begin. This is not just a traffic accident. It's a story about truth, accountability, and what happens when institutions put ideology before grieving families. Her name was Tamar. She's 14. She deserved better. This is Muslim Brotherhood USA 2025.
We may end up with about 50 members of Congress in the next 6 years. That's really the essence of dismantling the system of injustice, is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
Replace it with the people who represent the Prophet. We're going to have 50 members of Congress in the next 6 years. Tlaib and Omar in Congress, another one joining soon from New Jersey. Mamdani is mayor. Michigan, a terrorist camp. It's always the strategy, said More Edge Insight. Infiltrate politics here. Radicalize the next generation there. Wake up, America. Look what's happening. Wanted to show you this from the boards. Grasshopper always doing a great job. President Trump posted locked in, or Department of War posted a picture of President Trump and locked in. He's in the shadows. And there were so many things connected with this, with timestamps and more. And Grasshopper 17 just dissects it to the extreme levels. But as you're looking at your screen, without giving you too many details, here's the messages that were actually given out from this one that he caught. Panic mode, enjoy the show. Flash break, shall we play a game? Map is critical to understand. Got dark and darkness. Darn double meanings. Shut down, special place. Why are drops highlighted by the President of the United States shortly thereafter? Is there a coincidence or a message out there? The Great Awakening. How about a nice game of chess? Splash, Fox 3. My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. Happy hunting, Anonymous. Set the truth free. Find the markers. All of this in front of our eyes. Day after day, comms. And we've caught them for years now. We've learned how to see the communications that are headed our way and more. And in case you guys missed it, we started with the information that was actually out there. I want to show you something. With the basketball game, right? Well, Suzanne Pavlovich said, anyone notice they had an emergency broadcasting system screen pop up also when you were watching the game. So you have President Trump sitting behind a screen, protection, and the score is 104-99. So on the television, as you're watching the game, watch what happens. Very interesting. There it is. EBS. How about that? Let's follow you back. Good job there, Susanna. Good catch. Makes you wonder what in the world's going on. Why so many EBS system posts recently? What's really happening? And while that's happening, also, I wanted to show you that President Trump's nonstop working. 12:40 a.m. after the basketball game, President Trump's still talking to reporters in front of Air Force One. He never stops working.
We're very close to having a very, very good, strong, powerful deal.
Close to having a deal. He's still talking to the reporters. And they always complain about him. Always complain, Seems like they're always against him. Department of War CTOs, they're the ones that put "Good morning, nothing could stop the United States of America" locked in. There's President Trump in the shadows. It was posted at 9:56 a.m. The clear message there, 9:56 on the keyboard, says, "Panic mode. Enjoy the show. Q."
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you again, just wore out. So many things going on in this world. So many ways that we can get frustrated, and more of watching the evil ones continue to demolish our countries, get by with murder and more. In a sense, it just can sometimes seem so discouraging. So we ask for your help and your ability to strengthen us through the power of the Holy Spirit. We thank you for your ability to bring the right leaders at the right time to save us from what could have been terrible things happening across our entire earth. While they are bad, we realize it could have been much, much worse, as we've been told by President Trump. The multi-millions of people that it could have been hurt over the years by their plans have been demolished. So we thank you for that. We ask that the media would change somehow and be able to be held accountable, many of them removed for treason and more. We ask that these politicians that are evil and corrupt would be removed soon. These election thefts would be completely demolished, and we'd actually bring law and order back to our systems. And finally, watch these Democrats who are actually losers and cheaters and more be removed. We know that we won't be perfect until we get home. But for now, we ask for just a sense of peace and rest, and have these folks demolished like you did with the Red Sea, so we can have a fresh start. And we know people still run to their golden idols, but you will always receive our praise and glory for those that honor you through your Son, Jesus Christ, in whose name we pray. Amen and amen. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Thank you for your support and your prayers and more. We didn't get our video out live yesterday on the right direction,